Welcome to Compounding Change. I'm Shannon Davis, here to help you unlock the power of small actions for big personal and financial results. Whether you're a firefighter or just looking to improve your life, join us for tips and stories to make a difference.
This is the Compounding Change Podcast, sharing stories of small but meaningful changes that compound into amazing impact. Brought to you by Shannon Davis and DavisCompoundingChange.com. Change happens fast. Take advantage. Discussions on this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to DavisCompoundingChange.com or this podcast. Now, here's your host, Shannon Davis.
Before we dive in, a little housekeeping. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and share it with others. Also, if you have a topic that you want to hear about or talk about, let me know. Today, I have Marcy Schoenborn, who's the owner of Scho Fit. She specializes in helping people age well. We all have our own personal history, goals, financial, and fitness stories, and Marcy has over 4 decades of personal training and nutrition experience. She loves teaching clients to use nutrition to battle disease and is a prime example that age is just a number. And you just recently had a birthday, Marcy.
I did. I just turned 60.
Well, you look great. Congratulations on making it to the big 6-0.
Thank you. And the key is I feel great. That's really
Yes.
what we need to focus more on is how we feel. We want to focus on what's in the mirror, and
Yeah.
that's okay too. But when you shift the focus to how you feel,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
even better.
Well, I think, and we've talked about this before, but with this show, what I wanted to bring to people with compounding change is that, I'll have people come to me for financial help and say, I want one of those compounding accounts. Well, it's little actions, and obviously there's a whole way that money works together for compounding, but so do our actions in our health, in our fitness, and you're a prime example of that. Can you take me back? And I don't even know the what and the why, but I know that you have over 4 decades of experience. You used to do in a different capacity than what you're doing today of personal training and such. But where did it was slow progress and the little actions that created a lack of health in you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how did that happen? I mean, when you have the knowledge that you have, how did it happen that you were in shape when I met you many, many, many moons ago, but you were in shape, you appeared to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So what changed to get you to the point that you were able to turn it around? So can you just kind of take me to the downslide?
No, that's a great question. And I like how you broke that down. So I take that back to, I looked at it the way that most of us do. Okay, you're thin and you're healthy looking. You can eat whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And even my background back then was more of counting calories. And now they take it to counting macros. Same thing, just, little deeper dive. And in thinking that, well, I am thin, I can eat what I want, then what happens is we continue to eat things that will cause cellular breakdown. I specialize in cellular nutrition now. And so in my 40s, which a lot of women want to blame on menopause, but it really isn't all menopause. Mm-hmm. It is the decades of poor nutrition that cause a lot of the menopausal symptoms, or make them worse, I should say, not belittling menopause in any way. I started gaining weight. I became pre-diabetic. I had high cholesterol. Just the list started compounding.
Right.
And so at 49, I was 60 pounds overweight. I had IBS. I had high cholesterol. I went from being pre-diabetic to being diabetic, doing what I always knew, what I researched, what the doctor told me to do. I had such severe arthritis. I had to use both hands to lift my leg to put my pants and shoes on. Thought I needed a hip replacement, like every woman in my family. And when I went to the doctor and found I was diabetic from pre-diabetic, that was a turning point for me because my heredity is not good. I knew that at 50, 1 year later than the age I was at, my mother stood up out of a chair, broke her hip, and never walked again. So she
Oh
went
my
for
gosh.
22 years from a walker to a wheelchair to a hospital bed. And I knew for myself I didn't want that because Marcy mentally was still really raring to go, physically not.
Right.
And I have a very active husband, and I didn't want to do what happened to my father. He had to care for my mother. So I went a holistic route, changed everything, went down a lot of rabbit holes, and changed everything in my background, my education. Initially, just really for myself. I was running a different business
Right.
and was able to heal myself of at 5 diagnosis and drop the 60 pounds. And friends started coming out of the woodwork. Can you help me? And I felt like that was more important. I felt that's where God was pulling me as
Right.
opposed to what I was doing at the time. And so I've shifted, and now full time I teach nutrition and health. And, health and fitness is going to compound in one direction or the other. And I'm proof.
Yep.
And age has nothing to do with it.
Well, and I think the important thing to point out, and I know you've pointed it out on your social media, but you did that. You first focused on the food, and it wasn't because I think the
Always.
misconception is always, w- years ago I did a figure competition, and I'd get the
Mhm.
question, how many sit-ups do you do for the six pack? That you wouldn't see that if I didn't eat right. You wouldn't be able
Exactly.
to see all of that. So I think it's really important, and people think that they can't get in shape until maybe they hit the gym, or they can't get in shape until they
Yes.
have more time in their day. But you're saying
Right.
that you got in shape or you got healthy by eating
I
right.
got I got healthy, lost 60 pounds, then I went to the gym. And I don't always even suggest it that way. I do when people come to work with me, I want them to get their nutrition straight first if they're not already exercising, because it is a lot of big change when you start eating, when you're giving up processed foods and foods you're addicted to. You're not even really by your fault are you addicted to them. And that's another topic. But I always tell people, if you're not already exercising, let's get your food right. Then all of a sudden you'll feel better, have the energy, and that's the time to start exercising.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to do it over, I wouldn't have waited 4 years to get to the gym. I was eating well for 4 years, and I made all the excuses as well, which
Mm-hmm.
might be why I can help people through the excuses. I made them, oh, I don't have time to get to the gym. But that took my health to even a different level when I started exercising consistently.
Yeah. I think that is also the key. I had a conversation with somebody once about why would somebody want to listen to somebody who has been overweight or been, financially broke or whatever. But I think you have to go through some of those trials so you can help people. So it's great that you have a story to share, because people can see that, you are proof positive, and the fact that you were visibly fit, went kind of downhill, and then came
Yes,
back from that.
yes,
So I know that you do have a mission to help people, but I also know that you're entrepreneurial. I can never say that right, but
yeah.
entrepreneurial.
I
So
understood it.
yeah, but I don't ever get the feeling that it's all about money for you. That I do believe that you got into this more to help people, and then it became a business. Would you say that's a true
Yes.
assessment?
Oh, that's absolutely a true assessment. I mean, we have to make money to survive.
Right.
But yes, I found a way to turn it into a business, but also with the level of attention that I give a client, I can't give it away.
Right.
There's
Right.
only so many Marcy hours in a day, and so it had to turn into a business, but also in it being a business, I can reach more people.
Right. Yep. And that's what I wanted to do with this, is to be able to reach people
Mhm.
who you're working with, who I'm working with and my business has evolved over the years, and that too goes with compounding. This little change goes into this, and how we become
Mhm.
into our business, just like you laid out how you came to this.
Yeah.
Um, Talking about the food, I've always felt that food is medicine, and we do bring a lot of joy to our lives with food. A lot of
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
socialization is centralized around food.
Celebrate. Yeah. Celebratory
Right.
eating. Absolutely.
Right. So going into the holidays, obviously, I'm sure you are teaching your clients how to
Mhm.
be more cognizant of what they're putting in their bodies. We talked about this the other day. Do you believe in cheat days? I mean, do you say, "Oh, just do whatever you want for the
Um,
holidays?"
So I look at it a couple different ways, and it is a per client basis because there are clients that aren't to the point where they can be in a room of people and not indulge. And we don't want the guilt to come from that, because then
Mhm.
that creates more problems, right? And then that creates falling off and not wanting to take care of yourself. And so, in teaching them to focus more on their health and I teach them about the micronutrients in the food. We go deeper than the macros, we go into the micronutrients and the foods that are healing them. And so most of their meals, if not all, we want that meal to have everything in it healing your body. Now we know when we go to somebody's home for dinner, that's not always going to be the case. And it would be rude to sit there and, well, I don't eat that, and you can look at it a couple different ways. Now, because I don't ever want to become diabetic, I was diabetic. I don't want to go back there. I might have a bite of a dessert at somebody's house. And I will even explain to them, this is delicious. I wish I could eat it, but because, and people are very understanding when you explain it.
Right.
Um, but I have clients that, yes, I know they're going to fall off and they're going to struggle, and they're even going to struggle emotionally over the
Mhm.
holidays. So yes, we do work through that. And that's part of the reason my program's so handheld. They can text me anytime. I call it walking them off a potato chip cliff. And I coined that because I actually had a client call me, Marcy, I'm driving to the gas station to get potato chips. I need to talk to you. And so we talked, and all of a sudden she's home and she's fine and she's over it. But that's where my experience in being on both sides does help. Like you were saying, you know, you can look at it like, well, how can you help me if you've struggled before? I think people that have struggled and overcame can do so much more than a person that's never had the struggle.
Right. Right.
Um, but so, okay, back to holiday eating. I've been eating well for 10 years. So can I go to an event and avoid food? Absolutely.
Right.
It's where my mindset is. And so it's a process. And I have a client that told me she hears me say it's a process in her dreams because it is. And I say that a lot. The
Yeah.
whole thing is a process, and that process is different for everybody.
Right.
And I work with people that I have had to tell them, because I've been working with some people for several years now, that they cannot not splurge when they are away from their home. And then maybe you can't go. Or really, my suggestion is eat first, get full first.
Right. Yep.
There's
Yep.
lots of different tips, and I try to what I do is I help my clients create what I call as an emotional toolbox, and everybody's is different.
Yep.
And little tips and tricks. Like, I am somebody that can drink a pot of coffee in no time. And so when I get up in the morning, if I have to drink 20 ounces of water to earn a cup of coffee. So just little tricks.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
they're going to look different depending on what you're dealing with.
And that's always, I had owned a gym years ago, and I'm still
Mm-hmm.
obviously involved in fitness side of things, and I see the correlation between financial and fitness, and that's why it's such an easy transition. All of that is mental, and it is about the mindset, and it is about whether it's going to the store and spending money, or
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so often, I mean, it's like, walk away from the purchase, walk away from from the
Yeah.
table, I mean,
Yes.
so if you just
Yes.
integrate that into your life, I need to sleep on everything. So, and the next day, that food or the spending doesn't seem so important. And if it still does, then maybe it is something that you need. But
Yeah, that's a great correlation. And um, yeah, it's just, that chocolate cake at the moment seems amazing,
Mhm.
but what people don't understand is one bite of the wrong food is going to throw their cells off for 3 days.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean 5 bites will throw you off for 15 days, but but what it does is it means you're making your cells overwork for 3 days.
Right.
And there's actually a lot to that. But most people are eating something they shouldn't be eating 3 to 10 times a day.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
Yeah.
so they're keeping themselves in a state of inflammation, and which is now kind of coined inflammaging and causes all the diseases we blame on age. But it's the same thing. If you walk away from that purchase and save that $20, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody that financially used to think, well, I don't save 20s. If it's not 100, I'm not going to save it. So once I broke 100, that was gone. And you
Right.
probably can
Yeah.
understand that, right?
Yep. Yep.
But if you start saving those 20s, like avoiding the chocolate cake,
Right.
it adds up.
Right. Right. Well, so you're talking a lot about the nutrition, and I know from your social media and also from your website, you also have, and I know you're about the whole foods and healing our body with foods, but you do have a supplement line.
I
So how
do.
does
Yes.
that?
Yes.
How do you? I don't want to say justify that. I mean, there's no quick get rich quick. There's no get healthy quick, right? But
No, not at all. And you
there's
can't
no
out
magic
supplement a
pill.
poor diet. No, there is no magic pill. You can't out supplement a poor diet. You can't outrun your fork. I definitely believe in all these things. Um, so we started our supplement company a few years ago because 92% of the supplements on the market are not even what they claim. And so we wanted to be sure that we were getting quality products, and so were our clients. And so if we can't create something that is better than most on the market and comparably priced, we don't even create it. Um, but in my education for my clients, I don't even teach them on supplements for 4 weeks. I get them acclimated to food, understanding food, and then we use supplements as the name supplement.
Right.
They help a poor diet, they meet you in the middle. And oftentimes, when I talk to somebody about supplements, I will have them buying less than they would have just bought. And so it's not necessarily a let's make extra money for Scho Fit. It's let's provide better for our clients.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's important too. Like I said, I know you didn't go into this. You're just adding a business to your passion. But I
Yes.
think that's important for people to know too, that you're not just trying to sell your supplements. It's in a lot of businesses have that where they're like sell all this and then
Yeah.
talk about the
Yeah.
fitness, talk about yeah.
Yes. And I make it very clear when people come to work with me, they don't have to use my supplements, but because we own the line, I'm more versed in supplements. And so I can answer their questions and educate them better.
Hmm.
So it just adds a layer of good information that I can give my clients.
So you used to have you previously had a business that you were sharing the business with other people who wanted to share the business. So
Mm-hmm.
ultimately you had a bunch of people selling your previous product. Where are
Mm-hmm.
you with that? I mean, it seems to me like your focus is more on being in front of the people yourself and being up,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
not creating so much of a um, extended business with other
Yeah.
like personal trainers. So what are you doing with that?
Yeah, and I like the direct sales model. I love it. I think it's a brilliant model. But I think, and I've actually considered how could we turn this into direct sales to reach more people. The problem I think with nutrition is, and there are a lot of companies out there that have direct sales reps that push supplements, they're not educated to do it. And so they're overselling the supplements to somebody that they can't teach to eat well, And
Right.
I don't want to open that door. We're not, if we ever open that door, we will be really, really versed and ready. We will have a sales team that is versed and ready. It will not be open to just anybody that wants to become a rep of the product. And so what we do is to meet new clients, I do bonus my clients. If they refer somebody, I bonus them very handsomely, but we don't have a sales model per se. And of course, with my entrepreneurial background, it's on the burner, but it's far back.
That's great. I think it's awesome that you've not only transitioned from one year to the next and pivoted with your business model, but that you just turned 60 and you're still raring to go. I think that's awesome. So many people are trying to be done by 60, and it seems
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
ramping up. So
Oh yeah, I don't see I think I have 20 years of work ahead of me
yeah,
and however many years of life ahead of me. And as you know, until God says, I mean, but I want to be running big until that day. I don't want to, I witnessed in my family what it's like to spend 10 years, 20 years deteriorating,
right.
compounding the wrong way,
Yep. Yep.
and um, I just feel like too many things keep getting laid on my heart. And I work with many people. It used to be women over 50, then it turned into couples, which I think is amazing because it's eating well is a great thing to do together,
Mm-hmm.
being healthy together, as long as you still like each other,
Right.
right?
Right. Well,
um,
that's funny that you say that, because I actually had that thought this morning, knowing that we were going to talk, but you were able to do that when your husband wasn't necessarily on board with eating
he
well. And I think
wasn't.
that's
No.
great perseverance on your side. And I think that's one of the excuses that a lot of people use.
Yes. Yes, and there's a little story behind that as well. So he was always very supportive, but always had the thought, well, I don't have any health issues. I can eat what I want.
Right.
And lo and behold, it'll be 2 years this January. He got a call from the VA that he had high cholesterol and high blood pressure.
Mm.
And they wanted to mail him medication. And, he got off the phone and told me, and I said, well, you're going to call him back. You're going to start eating with me tomorrow, because I warned him for 8 years. I said, if you get a diagnosis, I own your diet. So he knew there was no arguing, no nothing. And he did not, I can never tell a client not to take medication, but in my household, knowing he was well enough, knowing I was managing everything, said, you're not going to start on the meds. I want blood work in 90 days. And they got him in 83 days. They told him it was lofty, got him in 83 days, and the diagnosis were gone.
That's
So
awesome.
it is all food. And so, yes, I've experienced having the food in the pantry I can't eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I also experience how nice it is as a couples to have more energy and be active together.
That's
So
awesome.
we raise our kids, we work so hard, and then we retire and we fall apart. And I don't believe it has to be that way. And
Right.
I also don't believe anyone is too far gone to get started on a health journey.
Yep.
Probably the same with financial.
Yep. Yep. Well, they are too far gone when they hit that 70 years old and they can't work anymore because
Right,
they've not taken care of their health. And but
right.
yes, they're, and that's what I work with a lot of firefighters, as you know, and I tell them all the time, number one, it's not too soon to meet with me, and number two, 6 months before you retire could potentially be too late to meet with me because you didn't make the
Yes,
plans and you didn't do it. It's like if somebody came to you on their deathbed and they're literally hours away
yes,
from death. I mean, there comes a point that,
yes, yes.
there's no returning from this.
Yes, there and you're right. There certainly is a point with health as well. Heard from friends the other day that their brother has 7 types of cancer
Mm.
and not long to live. There's, you know,
Yeah. You don't want to throw your hands up to anybody, but it
right,
does get to the
right,
point that, yeah,
right.
you waited too long. You waited too long to start
Yeah,
saving your
and
pennies, and you waited too long to start getting healthy.
Yeah. And, on that vein, we can prevent so much disease.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
don't have to suffer and feel like garbage and sleep poorly. And so yes, we raise our kids, we work hard, then we retire, and we can't even enjoy our latter years
Right.
because of decisions we've made that have compounded. And we could have, or we could start and make them better.
Yep.
And, it's like my husband and I are dating again because we both feel great.
That's awesome.
It's not ever a matter of, well, I don't know if I'm going to feel like going there. I don't know if I'm going to feel like,
Yep.
but at 49, I couldn't plan the next day because I never felt good.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I understand when people come to me saying that. And, it's good and it's bad, but now I've got women in their 20s coming to me because our food has been adulterated for so long now that they are getting sicker younger. So it's
Yep.
good that they're coming to me, but it's sad that it's happening.
Right.
You know?
Right. But hopefully they have years ahead of them that they can take the
Absolutely.
lessons
And
that you're giving them and
yeah.
working with them.
And
Yeah.
and the sad fact is if they don't make the change, they're not going to have the years.
Right. Yeah. Well, and hopefully if you're getting, I know you do, or it seems to me that you do work with a lot of older people.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
those young people, hopefully then they can make the changes with their kids.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and I mean, so often I remember when, when Jack, my son was young and I fed him too much of a bottle. I love feeding him his bottle. So he drank, 100 and some ounces a day when the doctor asked me why he wasn't eating. But the doctor's advice was, oh, take him to McDonald's. Are you kidding me? That's what we're going to
The
start him
doctor
with?
just gave a doctor just gave my daughter that advice. Took my granddaughter in, and her electrolytes were low, and she told her go get her a Coke and some fries from McDonald's.
Mm,
The least healthiest things we can be putting in our bodies. And
right.
and I even struggle with like all these electrolyte powders and things going around now because they're all the craze. And there's electrolytes in watermelon, there's electrolytes in berries, there's electrolytes in healthy food. But
Yeah.
we have to know that and we have to understand that. So
Right. Right. Well, that's awesome, Marcy. I could keep talking to you, but I think that you've given people a lot to think about, and maybe we can schedule more time another day. But we'll include information so that people can connect with you. Is there any last words that you want to leave us with?
just know that it's not selfish to put your health first. It is
Yeah.
not selfish to take time to exercise. It is not selfish you know, to buy the better groceries.
Right. Or as we were talking about, not selfish to take a 20-minute nap, right? Our sleep is
Yes,
important.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well,
Sleep is very, very good for our brain. Yes.
yes. Yeah, I know that when I'm tired that I am more emotional and can't find the
Yeah.
words, and so
Yeah.
thanks, Marcy. I appreciate you taking the time to talk today. So if people want to find you, what's the best ways, and where can we reach you on social media, or you have Facebook too, right?
I do have Facebook. So the best way to reach me would be just to go to my website, which is www.scho.fit. So it's not showfit.com, it is show.fit. And from there, you can reach out to me. You can go on Amazon. I have books on
Oh,
Amazon. So you
yes. I
could
meant
just
to
search
mention those. That's
Marcy
awesome.
Schoenborn. And
Yes.
I've got a handful of books and a couple more coming out soon. I'm really excited about my book, More Than Menopause, that's coming out because I think it's going to shed some light for women to understand that they don't have to suffer through menopause like they have. And yes, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all those things. I'm on YouTube as Scho Fit. So really, I think if you even just Google Scho Fit, SCHO
Okay.
Fit, you're going to find me.
Great, great. Not to extend your time too much, but I know we also recently talked about Alzheimer's and health and eating. You just
Yes.
mentioned menopause and writing a book. Are you considering a book on Alzheimer's
I
and memories
actually
and
am because, yes, I just finished a study in neuroplasticity and I've really been delving into the brain. And we don't have to get Alzheimer's, but once we do, then how much can we repair it? What can we do with it? And that really depends on how long we've had it, how far gone it is. I don't ever want to give up on anybody, but
right,
if somebody comes to me and someone in their world has had Alzheimer's 10 years and they're not very cognizant, I don't know what we can do, but I always think it's worth feeding them better.
right.
The sad thing that I often hear in those cases, though, is, but they like their chocolate shakes and they like
Yeah,
their Suzy Q's and they like their things they remember.
right.
And those are the exact things causing Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is also known as type 3 diabetes. So the same
Mm,
nutrition that's going to reverse prevent diabetes is going to prevent Alzheimer's. Very preventable, not as reversible.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I know you know that we just lost my mother-in-law, but I tell everybody we lost her well before we lost her
Yes.
because of
Yes.
Alzheimer's and but I will say that not to go into so much detail about it, but ultimately we had to put her in a home. And because of how her husband had been caring for her, not able to care for her, we did see, I mean, granted, it was a year ago and there was a lot of downslide after that, but there was an instant improvement. And it was because her nutrition had improved. He
Yeah.
was feeding her, the stuff that she liked.
Yeah.
And then she went
Yeah.
in and she was actually eating meals,
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner of with
Yeah.
some substance. So huge. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're doing that. It's of course close to my heart. So
Right, right.
yeah,
And yeah, I expect to put a lot of books out in the next couple years about various diseases because there's so much we can do for prevention. Um, and, on the Alzheimer's vein, dementia vein, it's in the household, we're not qualified to take care of them. And it is
mm-hmm.
easier to just give into them.
Right, right,
And but that's not the way to do it. And even with cancer, I tell my friends, if they tell my clients, if they have a friend that has cancer, I tell them, you know what, do not gift them a box of candy, gift them a fruit basket.
right.
Cancer loves sugar and dairy, it thrives
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Yeah.
And then I often will see my friends on social media that I know are going through chemo or going through, they've had, mastectomies or something, and they're posting the pie they just baked. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you are
Yeah.
feeding, but we have that reward mentality in our brain and we think that those foods are a reward. And those foods are exactly what's causing
All the
the
problems.
issue. Yeah. And
Right.
we can have dessert though. I don't want to say we can't have dessert. We
Right.
just make it a different way. And I do have a
Exactly.
dessert recipe book. So
And you do have that? You do have that
yeah,
out?
we have,
Yeah.
yes, we
Awesome.
have, I have a book, Breakfast Recipes to Change Your Life, and I have dessert recipes to change your life. And so, yes, we
Nice.
can have dessert. We
So can
really just have to go back to the way maybe our great grandparents cooked
right. Right. Yeah,
before
before we came
everything
out.
was chemicalized.
Yeah. So are all these books available on Amazon or are some on your
Yes,
website? Okay, so they can find everything on Amazon. I love Amazon.
yes,
That shipment comes to my house every day.
yes.
That
I
goes
can
into a
relate
whole
to that.
financial discussion, right? Maybe stop. Maybe don't press send or press purchase, right? Buy now. Well,
Yeah.
great. Well, I hope you've reached more people with this and I hope that more people read those books because it is helpful information and it looks like they are in smaller dosage. So it's not like you're putting all the information in one book of which becomes overwhelming to read.
It can become overwhelming, and I also really break it down into layman's terms so it's understandable.
Good. Good. Well, thank you, Marcy. I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you. I appreciate you as well.
Thanks for tuning in to Compounding Change. Again, if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and share it with others. Until next time, keep making those impactful changes and take charge of your future.
This is the Compounding Change Podcast, sharing stories of small but meaningful changes that compound into amazing impact. Brought to you by Shannon Davis and DavisCompoundingChange.com. Change happens fast. Take advantage. Discussions on this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to DavisCompoundingChange.com or this podcast. Now, here's your host, Shannon Davis.